Hello, everybody. I have the opportunity to spend some time with Bill Kurzeja, and Bill is a great guy. He is a veteran, spent 8 years in the Army, developed some wonderful discipline in that, is the owner of Professional Success South. He's out of San Diego area, and he is working. One of his goals is to be ranked number 1 in his age category for triathlons. That's a huge, huge feat to do. But today's topic, and he's also and what his company does is he's a big business coach, and has helped and has come up through the ranks of, was in the automobile business for a while, did some other work and really learned how the discipline of selling and working towards success makes a difference. And today's topic is going to be communicating via email. And so with that, Bill, I'll turn it over to you a little bit here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, so like you said, communicating via email, it's so important. I know there's a lot of people with our technology now, text message, instant message, all the different social platforms, so on and so forth, that they feel that email's sort of, gone by the wayside. But what we see is there are still so many people, and it just depends on where they're at and what the journey is in their lives, that communicate through email, right? But not many people understand how to, right? So
Right.
what happens is you have someone that's how they want to communicate, working with someone who doesn't know how to communicate through there, right?
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah. Because, especially in a lot of businesses out there. So, it doesn't have to just apply to sales. There are people that, only want to communicate through email or text, that are talking with their doctor's office or, their dentist office. So, you know, understanding all the different ways and how to apply the skills within them is extremely important.
So, what are some of the do's and don'ts of email communicating? What do you think about that?
Well, a definite do for me is to reply. Okay. So
Thank you.
a lot of times we get emails and we go, oh, I'll get to that, or something along those lines. And then, another thing happens, and next thing you know, it's a day or two and you forgot to reply. So just like if someone texts or gives you a phone call or any other type of communication, it's important to view email as important as well, right? So even if you can't reply to the full question or you don't have an answer to it, just sending a quick reply is a big do, right? I make it a habit. You mentioned discipline earlier. It's a discipline of mine to always reply as quickly as I can to any type of message, and email is included in that as well. So even if it's like, hey, I'll get you that information real quickly, or it's going to take me an hour, whatever it may be, I still send that so that they know that I, one, received it. It didn't go into my spam folder or anything like that. And two, that I'm acknowledging that, right? And don'ts are, one of my big things are, if there's more than one person, hit reply all.
Right.
A lot of times email chains get messed up because people don't hit that reply all, and then other people don't know if someone did or did not reply, so on and so forth. So, and then also you want to be clear, right? So take your time, write it out, read it, make sure that the spelling's correct, so on and so forth. Just like a text message, tone doesn't come across in writing. So I understand that sometimes if you're talking to someone, you can be a little joking or humorous or maybe sarcastic. That comes across in a certain way. And it's good when you're speaking with someone. But when you put that in the type, it doesn't translate that well. So you want to stay away from those, just because perception is what happens in those cases. And just, hello, so and so, thank you, and your signature. So just things that when you read an email, if it's like, if there's something not right, you want to make sure that you're not doing that as well, right? So I tend to want to be the person that I complain about, right? I don't want to be that person. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah.
So if they're doing something I don't like, if they're using capital letters, which comes across as yelling,
Right.
and I'm like, why are they using capital letters, right? I try not to do that myself.
So, what's a technique that you would use to, for example, so you've got this email, you received the email, you want to you respond back and say, I'll get that to you by noon tomorrow. What's a technique that you use to jog your memory and remind you that, hey, you responded to this guy yesterday, and now you've got another 200 emails that you're working on, and
Absolutely.
how do you keep that from slipping away?
Well, I have a habit of starring all my emails. Anything that there's an actionable in it, well, whether it's I have to reply to it with more information or I have to accomplish something within that email, I star it, right? So
Okay.
different email, whatever you're using, Outlook or whatnot, you can put into a special folder. Gmail has a starred, so anything starred. And then by the end of the day, that's my to-do list. That is what I need to complete. I need to address it, or I need to add it onto tomorrow lists of to-dos. So it's really just forming a habit that works for you. Some people put a message on their cell phone, a reminder, remind me to reply to this email by this time. So it's really finding out what works for you, but then doing it. And that's where the discipline comes in. There, you know, a lot of people talk about process, and process is key to success, absolutely. But in order for a process to work, you have to have the discipline to stick with it. And that applies to anything we do in business, anything we do as parents or spouses, and also with our health, right? So applying that to any exercise or anything that you want to accomplish.
And speaking of that, one of your goals now is getting in, is being ranked number one in the triathlon. How's that going for you, and how does that discipline, how you doing with the discipline of exercise? And have you noticed um, I think, I'm assuming that you've been pretty active your whole life, but has that allowed you to be mentally more sharp, more alive? And then, we've all faced, this COVID deal where you've got all kinds of, things coming at you 24/7, and really establishing a mindset to get on there and do your emails, do your work. And tell me about that really quickly.
So I was fit early on, and in my later 20s, after I separated from the military, I got a little bit out of shape, and I still played soccer and things like that, even in a men's league. But just a couple years ago, I was way overweight, and I set a goal because I want to be able to run around with my grandkids, so on and so forth. And
Yeah.
that's where I came up with, I needed something to go for. And that's where I came up with the triathlons, right? And that was my goal. I set it. So then I devised a plan to do that. So since then, I've lost about 40 pounds and, have been able to not take certain medications anymore because I've lost the weight and I'm a lot healthier. And so I have a routine. So I have a coach, and he supplies me with, this is what you're going to do today, so on and so forth. But I need to do it, and he thinks I'm a little crazy too. I need to do it first thing. So like this morning, I was up at 4 a.m. I got out onto the running path probably about 4:30, 4:45.
Right.
And what I find with my exercise is, you're right, everything's bouncing around, right? And it helps me, whether it's running, swimming, or cycling, it helps me take all the thoughts, everything that needs, and put it into a line. It
Yeah.
creates order. And I just had this conversation with my neighbor. He's a boss in a construction crew, and he started running over the last 6 months. And he always goes on and on about how much it's helped him deal with everything that's going on, because they've been open. Construction's been active through this whole thing. So
Yeah.
keeping all that in perspective, my wife's on board now. She's like, when I hit 30 minutes, I feel like it's not enough. I need more, and I highly recommend any form of exercise to help with your mental and getting that focus to accomplish anything else you want to do.
Well, we've kind of morphed this into a whole different topic, and which is cool. But one last thing is you and I talked a little earlier about negotiating with yourself, and there's no winner to that. In fact, the only if when you start negotiating with yourself, the one person who's going to lose is you.
Absolutely.
And getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning is not an easy feat, especially when you got 4 kids in the house and working on that and taking care of that along the way. But great advice from you and great guidance from you, great coaching from you on the art of email, and really just, email is an extension of a conversation that we might have, and we wouldn't consider just, when somebody hands you a piece of paper or a package or a note or whatever, you wouldn't consider just turning around and walking away and not responding with, a thank you or what's
Absolutely.
and in email, we just kind of click to the next one and leave everybody hanging. So nice job.
That's so true. You're so accurate on that.
Anything you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
Yeah, just with all of this, right? Even if it slips and you didn't reply to an email. I had one the other day. It was in my drafts. I never clicked send. Just explain it. Say, hey, listen, I dropped the ball. It's okay. Exercise with anything you're trying to accomplish in life. Always remember that there are going to be days that you don't accomplish it. And don't beat yourself up so bad. Just pick yourself up the next day and go at it.
Well, that and, don't be afraid to make mistakes, right?
Absolutely. Mistakes are part of life.
Yeah. Well, Bill, thank you very much. I really appreciate you spending time with us today, and great coaching on your part for us. And I hope that we get a lot out of it. So if there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate, and charge on. Thank you.